All right, welcome back to another video. I'm very excited because right now we're like literally this close. I think this video is going to be the last one until the MVP is completely finished, which is so exciting. And it's like it's about time that it's ready to be released, which then we're going to move into the next stage, which is going to be beta testing. So getting some beta testers or beta users, I don't know what you call it, to just test out the app, see if it actually works and does what we want. And then after that, once we've worked out some of the bugs that will inevitably be there, it's ready to be like, to move into like marketing, like trying to get people to actually use the app properly, which would be very exciting. But something that I wanted to, like a thought I had yesterday that I think is important, and I've realized this more and more the older that I get. And I think it's relevant to this because we're building a dating app here. So the thought that I had is that you should be very careful labeling any traits that you have as bad, because it's very difficult. I think circumstances, like the people that are around you, are really what determine whether you have a bad trait or a good trait. And a seemingly bad trait could actually be a good trait in the right circumstances. And I think it's very easy to label your traits as bad, but not realizing that under the right circumstances, that bad trait is actually going to be really good. And what I mean here mostly is going to be in terms of like relationships. You might feel like you need to change, or the relationship you had didn't work because of this, or the relationship that you want won't work because of X or Y or Z. But I believe that you should be very careful about thinking like that, because it could be like a relationship with a friend that maybe I don't want to get too personal about this stuff. So I'm trying to figure out how to say this without being too personal. But in general, you don't want to be like, you don't really know if your trait or if a characteristic that you have is actually going to be bad. It might, because I think every trait has a yin and a yang. Like there is the trait, but then there's the, and you can find like the yin to it, which is like the positive, let's say, and then you can find the yang to it, which is the negative part of it. So maybe for me personally, I have, I struggle with like open loops. So if I don't get closure on things, I have a really hard time letting that go. I feel like I need to get closure. I need that thing to kind of resolve. And I think, without being an expert of any kind, I think that is a trait that could be bad in lots of ways. Like there's lots of ways to see that could be bad, but in the right circumstance with the right people, that might actually be a good trait, because it might mean that the friend that I have, the relationship that I'm in, whatever it is, if that person is a person that's like, let's say that they're afraid of conflict, or like, I don't know what you call that in English, but they don't, well, they're afraid of getting into a conflict, let's say, then my trait of being bad at having like an open loop, or like not getting closure, not resolving things, might be a really good thing. Because if I feel like, well, this thing didn't resolve, like we had a fight, but we never got anywhere, and that person is really like scared of having a fight, then my pursuit of the resolve might actually be a good thing in that case, because it might get that person to actually find resolve in the conflict, rather than if I was a person that just let that stuff go, then the person that's afraid of the conflict might still carry that and be hurt by it, whereas I just like don't care and I forget about it, let's say. um I don't know if this makes too much sense, but it's sort of, I feel like it's very important to be careful about thinking that a trait that you have is bad, and labeling it as such, because I think there are, like I said, there are circumstances where it could be good as well. And I think you have to keep that in mind, like, especially when it comes to like dating. Um, I think it's hard in a sense because you might be thinking that you need to change, or that you are looking for a specific trait in someone that might not be, like, you might not be aware of the, like, let's say that you are looking for, what I'm trying to say here is that for yourself, you need to be careful about labeling your traits as bad unless they hurt you on your own, like without being in a relationship to anyone else. If you feel like, well, I suck at following through on things and that hurts me because I um, never follow through on work and I never really get anything done, I don't get anywhere, I'm not making anything of myself, let's say, that might be something that you want to work on for yourself. I don't know. But labeling yourself, or labeling it as a trait that's bad for a relationship, a future relationship, a current relationship, whatever, I think that's something where you have to be a little bit careful, because I think under the right circumstances, that might actually be a really good trait. And same for things that you're looking for in other people. I think the stuff of like green flags, red flags, all that stuff, I think the part that's easy to forget there is the yin and the yang of that too. Like a green flag will have a yin and a yang to it. If someone is really like, let's say that someone's very communicative, like they text you all the time, they respond really quickly, they're really like, they do all that stuff. That is the positive, the yin to that trait. But the negative to that trait is also that, or it's possible that there could be a negative to that trait, which is that, well, they're always talking to you. Like you're never really, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like, well, it could be that if they text you all the time, that could also be annoying over time, because maybe you feel pressure to respond to it. And if you don't respond to it, maybe they get upset or whatever. And even though that was a trait that you were looking for, it might be something that's actually not that great for you in particular. Maybe you're a person that doesn't like using their phone that much. So yes, at the start in dating, maybe it's really nice that they're like texting you all the time. But after a while, maybe being in a relationship for a few years, texting all the time could be too much. I used a metaphor at one point when I was talking to my cousin like years ago. And I said that just because you've had like vanilla doesn't, and that didn't work, and you feel like vanilla's not, I don't like vanilla anymore, it doesn't mean that you need chocolate now. You don't need the opposite taste or the opposite ice cream. You could just want another producer's version of vanilla, if that makes sense. Like it might not have been bad in that sense. It might just be that you need it from another producer or another brand. I don't know. I'm trying really hard to do this without being too personal. Um, but it was a realization that I had and I've had for a while, a few years, and I think it's good to share because it's something I didn't know when I was really young. Like when I was really young, I like 18, 19, and maybe even below that, I I would have very easily assumed that the traits that seemed like bad traits from me, like I would have just taken on the blame myself. Like, okay, this is bad. I'm bad. This is not good about me. I need to change that in order for things to work out in the future. And now being almost 32, I'm realizing that that's not actually how or it's not that easy. There are things that you definitely have to improve about yourself for sure, but things aren't that black and white. It's not like a trait can be said to be just bad. There's always the flip side to it, like the positive of it. And I think it's very important to remember and to really think about and be aware of when you're looking for someone, that you don't just um, assume that your traits are bad and because they seem bad, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's get into this. We only have two things really left to do, which is remove the connection information. I don't know why that came up, but when we're in a phone call in the app, it comes up, says some sort of like, oh, you're online or you're connected to the phone call. Some sort of message that Claude added just to show me as the developer that, okay, the connection is healthy and we're in. We have to remove that. The second thing is we have to make the voice animation actually be a voice animation. Right now, the voice animation is just, I don't know, it's nothing at this point. It's just, I think it's just a bar moving up and down. I'm gonna run the app and then we're gonna have a look at what the animation is. All right, now we're in a phone call and you can see the voice animation here. The thing about the voice animation is it's static. So that's what I was trying to explain. Like it's just, this is not a voice animation. This is just a static thing showing that audio is coming through. But we want these to kind of animate up and down as I speak, so it sort of looks like um, so it's something to look at for the users. The reason for that is that we want to. Hello? 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 How come we're not hearing anything? Hello? Hello? So this is a bit strange. Yesterday we were hearing the audio. Now we're not hearing anything. I don't know why. Okay, but there is audio coming through, so I don't know why. Hello? 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 Okay, I'm not really sure why there's no audio coming through today. Let's try leaving the phone call. And then hello? 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 That is a bit strange. All right, we're going to test it again and see if the waveform now undulates or whatever you want to call that in the way that it should. I also changed the color of it, but I think I want the animation to be a little bit different because I have some ideas for what the UI should look like instead of what it looks like right now. All right, let's see what happens. All right, we're in a phone call and we're getting undulating things. The only thing is that the audio is not coming through. Why is the audio not coming through? Because it was yesterday. I think I'm gonna have to test this on the iPad and on my phone so that we rule out the possibility that it's just the that it's the simulator on the computer that's the problem. Okay, let's run it on the iPad. It's gonna take a while. But I want to see what happens now if we press leave here. So now we're leaving and this guy ends up searching for a new match with 49 minutes left. So, and we now run the app on the iPad. Okay, now it's running on the iPad and we press start connection. Hopefully they're going to get connected in a call, which they do. Now I want to say, now I want to say, now I want to say, now I want to say. Okay. We are getting voice is coming through. Voice is coming through. I don't know. It's not. It's a bit strange because they. Okay, this is fuck. I have to leave. Okay, at least audio is coming through. That's really important, and that means that it works. That's all that we needed. Okay, audio is coming through. Great. Now we want to remove the information about the connection. Oh yeah, I forgot about this, but let's do a call again. So an idea that I have for what I want the app to look like is, I'm thinking, because right now the image is blurry here, so we don't see what the user looks like. But if, or when we get to the 5 minute mark here, then the picture will be unblurred and we will see clearly who we're talking to. But since we have this massive white circle for the voice animation in the middle, it means that even when this is completely clear, as you can tell maybe here, this is my face. My face will be like covered by the white circle. So an idea I have is, what if we make the white circle transparent instead? Hello? Hello? So what if we make the white circle transparent and have the voice animation be white instead, so that we just have, I don't want it to be completely transparent. I want us to kind of see the thing still, but yeah. Essentially, once the picture is not blurred anymore, you'll see the entire face and not just the face outside of this white circle thing. All right, so let's try to do that. Okay, let's test it out again. Okay, fuck, I forgot. Need to remove the stuff. Okay. Let's test the connection. All right, this is what the okay, that looks good. I mean, that looks really good. I don't know what you guys think. I just think that looks awesome. Honestly, that looks so good to me, at least. Um, I mean, this looks cool. It looks like a cool app. Maybe I'm biased, but I think this looks pretty cool. Especially like now I've added an actual picture of me as the background here. So you're getting some colors and stuff that you might actually get for real pictures of people. Um, I mean, the white, it looks clean, I think. I'm not a UI expert or UX expert, but I would say that look pretty good. And now we'll just wait for a little bit, see the picture clearing up. And then once it's clear, um, I just want to see what it looks like when I speak and the picture is clear. Um, I mean, this works. It looks pretty cool. The fact that, or I mean, the whole concept I think works. Like right now, we're closing in on half of the phone call, but we're still not quite seeing who we're talking to, which I think is a really good thing because the whole point of the app is that you want to get some time in with the person before you actually see who you're talking to. And so one thing that I've been kind of worried about is what if you see the person too clearly too quickly, so that let's say that you see who you're talking to within like a couple minutes or within a couple seconds, then you might already realize, okay, I don't like what this person looks like. And at that point, you haven't had enough time to actually get past the point of where you might still want to talk to someone, even if they're not quite your type in looks wise, if that makes sense. Um, so it's a kind of a balance where you want the user to have time to actually see the person in the phone call, but you also don't want them to see the person too quickly, because then what's the point of not seeing them? The point of not seeing them is to get to know the personality before you see the outside. It's like you're reading the book before you see the cover. But now at about 1 minute, 30 seconds left, we basically see who we're talking to. I think this should happen a little bit later, maybe at 1 minute left. So you get like 1 minute to look at the person that you're talking to. Because right now we basically saw what this person looks like or what I look like before the one, when it was like more than 1 minute and 30 seconds left. And I want it to be I don't want you to have that much time. I want you to have like a little bit of time to see, okay, this is the person. But maybe a minute is good enough. Or maybe this works. I don't know. I think we're going to have it. For now, this is the MVP. We're not going to care about that. we're just gonna have it as it is. But I really like the animation thing. The connection stuff is gone, so now we're gonna like them so that we get a match here. And then we're gonna see what happens after the phone call ends. Because what should happen is they should end up in another phone call searching, but they don't, which is a problem. But I think it's a pretty easy fix. So let's just type this in here. Okay, I just want to see what happens if we do a regular phone call. Because we haven't done anything here. Okay, so we're getting connection error. So we might need to deal with that here. All right, let's test the flow. To get into the phone call, we get the voice animation. Yep, the voice animation works. And we can talk. We can switch between different things here. We're gonna like each other so that we get a match. And then we're gonna wait for the 5 minutes to run out. And once the 5 minutes run out, then we should end up back on the call page or searching for a match, which right now we don't. All right, 10 seconds left. What should happen now when this phone call ends is we should see that the phone call ends, and then we pop back out to the searching page, which we don't. Not sure why we don't, but we don't. This is annoying because it takes 5 minutes to test this. So we might have to shorten the phone calls. All right, now I set the time to be 32 seconds instead, so it's going to be easier to test, which is good. Just change that back so we don't forget. So now what should happen is when the phone call ends, we should end up in the search page, which I'm not super confident that we will, but we'll see. All right, we are in the search page. That's really nice. That means that is working. We're going to go here and we're going to call. And we're going to see what happens here. Okay. Okay, so this is a bit strange. The call connects for one of the users, but then not for the other user. Why not for the other user? Okay, let's try it again. Accept the phone call. They are in the phone call. Does it work? Hello? It works. Okay, great. A regular phone call now works. The only thing that's been added now is that when I press end here, we end up in the search page, which we shouldn't. Because when you press end on the phone call there, you should just end up back in the original page, which I don't know why you end up there, but that seems to work. So we're going to do a git status, git add dot direct and random. So this next thing is really just a minor issue. It's not a bug per se, but it is a minor issue. And I think I think it's good if we can solve this, but I think it's a bit difficult to solve. I don't know if it's a back end problem or a front end problem. All right, we're going to give this one. Wait. We're a little bit overexposed. All right, we're going to give this one more chance. And this is just because that's like the final little bug, I think, that exists. And hopefully, because I was pretty clear in my explanation now, I'm notoriously bad at being clear when I'm talking to these AI models, which is not, it's like basically shooting myself in the foot, which I do all the time here. But now I was very clear with my explanation. So I can read my explanation, maybe if that's interesting. I don't really know. Um, all right. So basically what we need to do is we need to handle the phone calls ending. So for random calls on the call page, when user A is connected to user B, there's a couple of different ways that it could end. So user A could press leave, and this should end the phone call for both users, but user B should end up back in the search page looking for a new match, whereas user A should end up back on the talk page. So essentially, if I end a phone call with you, then you just get put back in the search page and you keep searching for a new match, whereas I end up out on the talk page and I can decide whether I want to exit the app or whether I want to continue finding another person. And the other way is that the 5-minute timer runs out. When the 5-minute timer runs out, both users should end up back in the search page, like looking for a new match. And the third way is that user A presses skip or next, and that should just also bring both users back to the search page. But then we have direct calls, and direct calls, either the 5-minute timer runs out, or I press end, or you press end to the phone call. Both cases, we should end up back on the matches page. Right now, what happens is on direct calls, we end up back on the search page. So we're like, we are actually in a different stage of the app. We're talking to our matches, but then when we're finished with that, we end up back in the like looking for someone page. So it's, if you can imagine like Tinder, it would be like you texting someone in a chat, and then you exit out of that chat and you end up on the swiping page instead of your list of messages page. So I hope that I can solve this. But it might be a combination of front end and back end issues, because we might not have a flag for the specific type of phone call end that we need, which might make it difficult on the front end to deal with. So I don't know. Okay. So now we're going to run the app, but we're going to set this to 32. And we're going to run it. So we're going to start with a random phone call, where we'll let the timer run out. All right. Now we're just going to wait for the timer to run out. And once the timer's run out, what should happen is both users should end up on the search page. So crossing all of my fingers and all of my toes at this point. But again, I'm so happy with the way that this looks. Like, it looks so much better than the way that it looked before. Oh, they're back on the search page. Awesome. That's perfect. Okay. Now we're going to go to the matches page and we're going to try a call. Accept. We get connected into a phone call. That's perfect. Now we're going to end the phone call and we get back to the matches page, I think. Okay. We do get back to the matches page, but we're now unable to navigate for some reason. Okay. I think I understand why this is, but we're going to just test something else before we ask it to fix this. So what I want to test is what happens if we press leave on this page. So that guy, this one ends up on the search page looking for a new match, which is what should happen. And the one that pressed leave ends up on the talk page. So now the only thing that we need to fix is the fact that when we end a direct phone call, we end up in a weird place. This should be an easy fix, I think, because really I could do this myself, I'm pretty sure. I just don't really know where it is, and I hope that this is going to be quite easy for it to fix. Perfect, I can see it. Homepage uses index stack, bottom navigation, blah, blah, blah. Let's set this to 300. All right, let's run it again. Please tell me that this will work now. All right. Now we're going to end the phone call. Where do we end up? We end up in the matches page on the tab that we want. Perfect. Now we're going to also try match users call page. Okay. And then we're going to have to run this. I hope that this is going to be the last run that we do today. And after we've run this now, if this all works, the app is actually done. Like if this next test works, the app is done. All right, we're gonna have to wait for 5 minutes because I did not set the time properly, which is fine. It's just, or I could fix it, but I can't be bothered doing that right now. All right, now the phone call finally is about to auto end in 22 seconds. And the behavior that we're expecting is to end up back on the matches page with the bottom navigation bar showing as well. I hope this is gonna work, because if this works now, the app is done. The app is done. Fuck, that's so good. Like, oh my God. What is this? Day 86. It took me 86 days to get to this point. But the app, the MVP is done. Now, like, I don't know how I can even like make this justice on camera, but like, this is the dating app. The dating app does everything that we want right now. We can talk to random people, we get connected to random people, we generate tokens, we voices coming through, we can like them, we can match with them, we can skip to the next person. We actually, let's test the skip function, because that's the one that we haven't tested yet. So let's just test that quickly. And then we press skip. Yes. And both users end up on the search page. Perfect. It's done. It's actually done. This could go out in the world. Obviously, I need to test this with people. Like, I don't know how to test this now. I feel like I want to have some beta users and like ask you guys to be beta users, but I don't know how the communication is going to be and how everything is going to work with that. I need to figure out a way to just deal with, because I would need to be able to get feedback from you guys as beta users or beta testers, which I don't know how to do. But I think this also requires the app to pass the Apple, like, whatever you call it, the Apple thing that the App Store tests that they do on the apps before they allow them into the App Store. So the bugs, or if there are any bugs, they need to be sorted out. But other than that, we have a fully functioning app. That's pretty cool. All right, but I'm gonna have to call it a day here. So thank you so much for watching. I don't even know what we'll be doing in the next one. I guess we'll have to go into like trying to publish it. Is gonna be the next step. I guess I'm gonna have to Google this stuff. I have done it in the past, but I feel like these things sort of change. So I don't know how it works now. I don't know if like beta versions of apps, if they don't require the same testing from Apple, maybe. I hope so, but I don't know. And I hope there's like a really easy way to publish them too. I remember that could be quite tricky or take a bit of time at least. But also, before I go, thank you so much for watching, helping out with comments, and giving me ideas, and just like supporting this by watching these videos. I really appreciate it a lot, and I feel I'm very bad at saying these sort of things on camera. At least in real life it's different, but now I'm literally talking to no one, even though I hope you will be watching this. So it's a bit weird to say thank you to some intangible amount of people, um, or untangible, I don't know. But I want you to know that I am grateful and I do appreciate it, especially all the help that I've gotten, because I've gotten a lot of help from the comment section. So thank you so much for that. And I'm very excited for the next step now. Like, I want to have it on my phone properly, because for some reason, back in like a few years ago, you could, once you ran it on your phone, you could have it for like a few months on the phone still working. But now it's like only a few hours for some reason. I don't like that, because I feel like it would be so easy to just give it to like a bunch of people and then have them have the app and we can test them in different locations and things like that. Whereas now it's like I have to actually publish the app somehow for people to be able to use it. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.